The last time we were with you, these cars were numbered 81 and 82, but today is the day that the champions will face off to see who will come out on top once again. As hello everyone, welcome to round number 1 of the 2017A NASA RallyCross Challenge season presented by AMSOIL here at the Valkenswaard circuit in the Netherlands. This is Josh Mertz bringing you the call, as always, for the Automotive Sports Network. And this is a huge thing. Before we get rolling, we're going to jump right into it. You see the cars are much lower. And to sum it up, we're running lighter cars, 6-speed gearboxes, much more downforce, and it has produced cars that are up to 2 seconds a lap faster. Format: 10 cars, semifinals, quarterfinals, LCQ, and a final. Quarters are 6 laps, joker once. Semis are 4 laps, joker once. LCQ, 3 laps, joker once. And the final is 8 laps, joker twice, 6 cars. Winner transfers out of the quarter in the semi. 2 bonus points and 1 bonus point. And the LCQ, top 2 will transfer. Mertz was fastest in seating, peculiarly, as the car number 2, as that's going to get weird to say this season. Typically never that quick here at the Valkenswaard circuit. I believe second in seating was his teammate Cody Erdman. We are waiting for Dylan Smith, Zach Johnson, and Chris Wetz to arrive to the grid. As MRT has amended that number plate, once again a 4-time champion, as it was a slight dig to Dylan Livingood last season, but the red plate for round number 1 is held by car number 1. It's Cody Erdman, the German, alongside his teammate. Second in the line is Wetz, then Dylan Smith, then Zach Johnson. Getting ready to go for the 6th lap, first quarterfinal of the season. Revving them up, getting ready to go. And we're green in the Netherlands for the first quarterfinal. Off the line, it looks like Wetz and Erdman. Erdman gets the jump on his teammate as they're going to go side by side into turn 1. Erdman way out wide, but he holds the lead as his teammate comes out wide. Contact between them, and it sends the 2 off the road. And around he goes, and not the way to start the race and the season for Mertz in car number 2. This leaves Erdman to lead the field on the first lap of the race. It looks like nobody jokers, so it's Erdman, Wetz, Dylan Smith, Zach Johnson, and Mertz in the 2 in 5th. Rounding the final couple of corners to end the first lap of the race, it's going to be Erdman leading, followed by Chris Wetz. Chris Wetz is the maestro here at the Valkenswaard circuit, but Erdman was able to win last season due to Tanner Smith and Mertz coming together. After 1 lap, 44.379 was Erdman's fastest lap, the only lap turn, so he's the fastest man on the circuit. As this man won the championship last season after winning the race in Las Vegas. His teammate and title rival wrecked twice trying to take the championship fight. And you notice this track has been expanded, repaved, the dirt has been expanded, so much grippier for these new cars here in 2017A. Erdman still leads. New lap time, 41.1, so much faster than the old cars. Update on car number 2. He has passed Johnson in the 527, and he is on a mission, 40.457 for car number 2. Back up to the sharp end. It's Erdman still leading over Wetz. Wetz is second in the order here. Let's see who will joker on lap number 2. Nobody does. And Erdman pulling out to a lead. He is about 0.7 of a second slower than his teammate. Very interesting here. We're coming across flags. 3 to go. 40.897 for Erdman. As Dylan Smith in car number 22 in 3rd. Wetz in 2nd. Looks like nobody can catch him so far. I'm not really sure what happened on the start there. I believe they just came together, hooked bumpers, and around the 2 went. Back into the dirt for the 4th time. It's going to be Erdman still leading. As it has been a while since we have been on the airwaves, but we are back going again. And speaking of back going, trying to get back to the front, car number 2 struggling, and it looks like Dylan Smith, speaking of struggling, has looped at the young German in car number 22. back at Revolution Racing, and so has Mertz. It's a very weird day here in the Netherlands. 2 laps to go. Very weird day. The sun is out, but it's cold. Very cold at the Netherlands here. And as a result, the cars are very difficult to handle. So not really sure how these new high downforce cars behave in the warm temperatures, but we can tell in the cold it's very difficult. At low temperatures, the tires don't have the grip, and as a result, we loop it. Blue flag to the 527, white flag for Erdmann. .470 was the lap time by car number 1. Really uncontested here in the first quarterfinal, as Watts has tried to take the fight to him. 40.506. Then we'd be looking at car number 2. It looks like Mertz has parked it, so he obviously will not transfer. He'll have to go to the semifinal, but his teammate is starting off the season just like he ended last season. P1 transferring to the final is Erdmann in car number 1. First car to the semi is Watts in the 23. A lap down, of course, but Johnson in 4th will go to the semi. And then we're going to be looking at Dylan Smith in car number 22. As Smith finishes up here, let's take a look and see what exactly happened between the 1 and the 2 on the start. So here they launch. Erdmann the red and yellow. Mertz the purple and gray. Erdmann gets the jump, car length and a half, almost 2, make it 2.5, and it looks like Mertz guns it, exit of the corner, and they just come together. And Mertz had it almost saved, but it looks like he pinned the gas in the grass, and it just looped it, and almost collects Dylan Smith and Zach Johnson, but those drivers escape unscathed. So another number change for the 2017 season. Dylan Livengood will drive car number 21. The only thing that he announced was it keeps his number in line with the rest of the team. Is Dylan Smith 22, Chris Watts 23. Not really sure. Dylan Livengood has never run car number 21, so interesting to note. But we'll see if this rejuvenates the Canadian 4-time champion. He will be on pole position for the second quarterfinal. The beautiful car number 3 of Tristan Hagenstein there in the background. I believe he's just off shot. He is in this quarterfinal. Then we do have Casey Lester, Philip Kraus, and Arnold Columbia. So a couple new paint schemes for this season. The Area 52 team lost Jonathan Taylor and Tanner Smith mid-season last season. They gained Kraus, and they moved to Citroens. So we're looking at Arnold Columbia there. 13, Casey Lester. 19, Philip Kraus. On the back row will be Tristan Hagenstein for another 6-lap race. Looks like Lester trying to test the clutch already. No harm done. Getting ready to go. Revving them up for the second quarterfinal here in Valkenswaard, and we are green. Off the line, it looks like Lester and Columbia missed the start. It's going to be side-by-side between the two Canadians, Phil Kraus and Dylan Livengood. Livengood drives way out wide, blocks Kraus, contact between them, and around they both go! Looks like we've got a red flag called. Maybe. Don't believe we do, as I think it was only 2 cars. So as a result, I think we are still green here in the Netherlands. So the Canadians are now in the back of the field. Yes, confirmed, no red flag by race control. This is going to have Tristan Hagenstein, who is now a victor in the series, lead at the end of lap number 1. Lester in second. Third is Columbia. Fourth is a brawl between the two Canadians. It's Phil Kraus and then Dylan Livengood. So turn 1 incidents. So far, we are 2 for 2 this season, and I don't see it changing anytime soon. So Casey Lester, the journeyman, finally got picked up by a manufacturer team. as he drove his privateer Mitsubishi for numerous seasons. Now on the Area 52 team as they're going to make a run for the Constructors' Championship. Philip Kraus to the inside of Arnold Columbia, make that a position change. 19 to 3rd. End of lap 2, gone, out and away from the rest of the field is Tristan Hagenstein at his home race. Lester slams the wall, exiting the final corner and allowing his teammate to get close. Looks like he has to cut the course, and he will let his teammate through. Contact between them, and I believe that's going to be a penalty for the 13. Not a good day for Casey Lester, and Phil Kraus is right where he started in the 2nd spot. Got sideways there for a moment. I'm telling you, this weather must be affecting these drivers in some form or another, and this is allowing Hagenstein to cruise away here, coming to cross flags. The Canadians are back to 2nd and 3rd. Then I believe Casey Lester is in 4th. 5th will be Living Good. Let's take a look at the back of the field here. Looks like Columbia is in 4th. Lester, P5. And Tristan's never been successful at his home track. He's gotten close a couple times. He was vying for a podium spot. I believe it was 2nd last season. Then had a couple of issues coming to the white flag or close to the white flag. Slammed the wall, entering the dirt, and rolled the car. But this will help him if he can hang on for a couple more laps. He will be through to the final in car number 3. As last season ended with 9 race victories out of 10 races for Red Bull Subaru MRT. Squad has not changed. Colors have changed, but numbers have changed. Drivers have not changed. 2 to go for Hagenstein. And the interesting thing is, the first win is hard, but the 2nd and 3rd and so on wins are difficult. Can Hagenstein pull one out of the hat again and get a performance like he did in Riverside? It is going to be interesting to see. The Dutch driver has had some great drives in the past, but bad luck has caused those drives to evaporate. White flag for Hagenstein in the quarterfinal. Looks like Phil Kraus is slammed into the wall between the final 2 corners, but he's back going again. Living Good in 3rd. 4th and 5th have not changed. It's still Columbia and Lester. So you'll see from the helicopter, this turn entering the dirt is really wide. It tightens up for turn number 3. Turn 4, asphalt, left-hander, then back onto the dirt. The dirt has been widened, and you cannot touch the asphalt until then. You can go all the way wide you want. And Hagenstein using it to his advantage as the Dutchman will round the final corner and win the 2nd quarterfinal here at his home track. And he will join his teammate in the final 1 and 3 through. 19 of Kraus will go to the semifinal, along with the other Canadian, Dylan Livingood, as both of them came together. Forgot to mention, Arnold Columbia made it 3 Canadians in this event. Looks like he's got some front-end damage there on his Ford, the Great Lakes Motorsports car, but we'll take a look and see what happened, as it looks like Casey Lester parked the car. But let's take a look exactly and see what happened between the 2 Canadians, and I want to say it's just like the 2 teammates. They came together in turn 1. So there's the start. Columbia, Hagenstein, and Lester stayed a little bit back. It helped Hagenstein. Looks like Kraus undercut Dylan Livingood in the 21. Looks like he originally drove way out wide to block the 13, or the 19, sorry. Bounced it off the wall, and they came together. So there was no penalty, I do believe. There was no red flag. It was just another incident of a racing deal. And that puts both of those guys to the semifinal. So leading us in the first semifinal, remember these races are 4 laps apiece, Joker once. It's going to be car number 2, Josh Mertz, on the pole. Outside pole, looks like, will be Dylan Smith, second gate choice. Mertz is switching it up. Remember, you are not required to line up in the order that the grid dictates. So you have open grid choice. It's going to be Mertz and Smith, and I believe we are waiting for the 13 of Lester. There he is, top of the shot, to come in here and grid up. Then it's Zach Johnson in the 527. 4 laps, Joker once, winner advances and gets a bonus point. So technically speaking, co-leading the points are Tristan Hagenstein and Cody Erdman. So this will dictate third in points, if you want to think about it that way. Getting ready to go for the 4-lap semifinal in the Netherlands. Revving them up. Green flag. Off the line, it's going to be Dylan Smith and Josh Mertz. Zach Johnson takes the chicane as a precautionary measure. You're not supposed to do that, but it's not a rule breaker. Into turn 1, it's Lester v. Smith for second spot, allowing car number 2 to break away from the field. Into the dirt for the first time. Mertz leads, sliding car number 2, followed by the 22 of Smith, followed by the 13 of Lester. Lester outbrakes himself and misses the apex into the Joker. No strategy taken. Meaning all 3 cars, I believe Johnson misses it. Johnson does not take it. Around goes Lester. So the top 2 took to the Joker. I believe Dylan Smith is still dealing with an issue of no grip on his Mitsubishi, but at the end of lap 1, Mertz leads. So remember, these 2 were teammates for the longest time. Smith was on the MRT Junior team. He's been a journeyman himself, jumping back and forth between a couple of teams. Now he's back at Revolution Racing, where he made his manufacturer debut. As you might remember, the Pillsbury team a couple years ago, actually still 5 years ago, believe it or not, the Pillsbury team had Matt Wishart, Brian Mercurio, and Dylan Smith all racing, but they were not classified as a manufacturer team. So this was Dylan's first manufacturer team, and he's back to where he started as he nearly drove off of the dirt there, and finishing lap number 2. Gap is a couple of car lengths compared to what it was in the second quarterfinal. Mertz clobbers the curb in the chicane. Looks like he was still within track limits, but he misses the apex at turn 1, and that's going to allow Dylan Smith to take the fight. 2 car lengths between them. Coming to the white flag in the semifinal. Mertz runs it wide in turn number 3. Dylan Smith had some issues, and back onto the pavement for the short turn 4. Back onto the dirt, and who will get the run into 5 and 6? Coming to the white flag, it's Mertz v. Dylan Smith, 2 car lengths advantage. Car length and a half at that. Final corner, white flag. Smoking the tires is both of them. Dylan Smith nearly hits the exit of the wall there, or the end of the wall, excuse me. Trying really hard. Mertz ran a 42.1. Dylan Smith clobbers the tires. I was just about to mention a 41.763. But that Mitsubishi, you hear no engine noise. It is killed after clobbering the tire wall. So car number 22 has to go to the LCQ. And looking at telemetry, Mertz has thrown it into 6th gear. And he's cruising home. So not the end that we wanted to the first semifinal, but there's no pressure for car number 2 as he will win and get a bonus point here in the Netherlands. Johnson will bring it home in second in his privateer 527 Mitsubishi. He will go to the LCQ. And Casey Lester in the manufacturer Citroen. Looks like there's damage on the back end. Lester has not gelled this Citroen so far this weekend, and he will go to the LCQ as well. So Wetz and Livengood will lead the brigade for the second semifinal. Joining them is Arnold Columbia in the private Great Lakes Motorsports car, and then one of the prodigies of this sport, Philip Kraus. Not much is known about Philip Kraus, but he is a fast driver when he does not get caught up in incidents. So watch out for car number 19 this season. Wetz, Columbia, Kraus, and Livengood. 4 laps, Joker once. Once again, the winner transfers and gets a bonus point. Who's it going to be from this race? It's lights out, and away we go. Off the line, looks like Livengood, as I've said for 5 years, gets the whole shot, but Kraus was able to beat him almost at turn 1. This time, will they make contact exiting the first corner? No. It's Kraus and Wetz side by side into turn 2 as the Mitsubishis will lead the Citroen and the Ford. Bouncing off the wall is position 1 and 3. Wetz is the only one that does not. Columbia hits the wall in turn 3. To the Joker on the first lap goes nobody, and exiting the asphalt and back onto the dirt. is Living Good, Wetz, and Kraus. They nearly made contact exiting the corner there. Nearly again close quarters racing at the end of the first lap. It's going to be the 4-time champion and 13-time race winner leading Wetz and Philip Kraus into turn 1 again. We know Chris Wetz is one of the best drivers when it comes to Valkenswaard. Off the top of my head, he's either got 5 or 6 wins at this track. When you think Valkenswaard, you think Chris Wetz. Just like St. Eustache, you think of Josh Mertz. To the inside of him, though, is Philip Kraus. To the Joker goes Living Good in car number 21. That he holds the lead, but I don't believe he gained any time. That should help him, though, because the cars behind him are battling. Exiting the final corner, cross flags for Living Good as he crosses the line. It's going to be Wetz still second, followed by Kraus. They have not jokered, so we'll have to see how the strategy unravels between these two. They've been battling to the death, but Living Good, the gap is shrinking. Wetz ran a 41.8, Living Good ran a 41.4, so according to Delta, it's about 3 to 4 tenths of a second if you erase the battle between them. Kraus ran it wide in turn 3, no joker for Wetz. So what he's going to do is put his teammate under pressure here and take the fight at the end. Kraus to the joker. And you know, if these two come together like they have before in the past, Phil Kraus will take the lead and take the bonus point. White flag for Living Good. There's no gap. Wetz, if he has his joker, which I do believe he does, he's going to take this lead and take the bonus point. 41 flat. No, he loops it! Almost in car 23, he does! He locked it up, could not save it, and I'm telling you, this cold weather has been affecting everybody today. So the pressure, think about a knot in your back. The knot is gone for Dylan Living Good, at least in the semifinal. As he's going to hold off, hopefully, Phil Kraus, as both of them had jokered. You might see Wetz there exiting top right corner, but that joker does not matter. Give him a bonus point. It's Living Good winning the second semifinal. Kraus close behind. Chris Wetz, obviously upset in the third spot. So this is going to be an interesting LCQ. We've got Philip Kraus, Dylan Smith, Chris Wetz, Zach Johnson, Arnold Columbia, and Casey Lester. So we had 10 cars here today. We've got 6 of them in the LCQ. 2 will transfer. This should be interesting because we've got the Revolution Racing teammates. We've got Philip Kraus. We have Casey Lester, who is quick. And then Zach Johnson and Arnold Columbia. Looks like Johnson's trying to line up on the inside there, but we only do the middle 4 gates. So I'm not really sure if race control is going to change that or not. They will. So at the end of these 3 laps, the top 2 will transfer. You do not get a bonus point like you do regularly in a heat race. So it looks like Johnson will line up behind Chris Wetz. Lester behind his teammate Kraus for Area 52. On the middle gates, it's Columbia on the left and Smith on the right. Everyone getting lined up. Last second preparations from race control. 3 laps. Top 2 transfer, and you have to take the joker once. We're green for the LCQ in Valkenswaard. Off the line, Revolution Racing. One of the best launch controls in the series, if you ask them, of course. Leads us into turn 1. 3 wide for a moment was Kraus, Columbia, and Johnson. Johnson hits the tire barrier, throw him back to 6th. Into the dirt for the first time, into turn 2. It is going to be Wetz and Smith, followed by Kraus close behind. This is going to be a hell of a battle for the transfer spot, but it looks like Dylan Smith missed the apex there. Will he joker? Nobody does out of the top 2, and Columbia hits the wall. So Lester is hoping that everyone in the top 3 wrecks, and he's able to take the fight, because we're coming to 2 to go, and it's going to be between Wetz, Kraus, and Dylan Smith. Everyone's conservative because of the cold temperatures here in the Netherlands, and we're still trying to get used to the high downforce lowered cars. Off the track went the 13, went straight towards the wall, but no harm done. Let's see who will joker, and what we'll do is we'll take a look at the delta here. Looks like Wetz is on the far left. He does not joker. Dylan Smith does, and look at this battle between Wetz and Kraus. They're going to come out 3 wide for a moment. Dylan Smith lagged back. Contact between Kraus and Wetz turns the 23 around. And I'm not sure if that's going to be a penalty box visit, but it's going to be the white flag for Dylan Smith. Lester in 4th. So maybe there's damage on the 23 that we don't know about, but they made contact and he smashed it off the wall. And Phil Kraus is sideways in the 19. So what's going to happen here for the penalty box, as it was more than 90 degrees? We can put Dylan Smith firmly in the lead, Philip Kraus in 2nd, Wetz in 3rd, Lester 4th, Johnson 5th. Looks like Columbia will end in 10th as he parked the car. Dylan Smith, and it looks like Philip Kraus will go to the penalty box in car number 19. Winning the LCQ is Dylan Smith. Transferring through with a damaged Mitsubishi is Chris Wetz. It's going to be 7th place, best of the rest for Phil Kraus. 8th place for Casey Lester. 9th place will be Zach Johnson in the Mitsubishi, and then 10th place is Arnold Columbia. But let's take a look real quick at what happened there between Wetz and Kraus. Now, what's interesting about this whole ordeal is Wetz ran it wide in turn 3 and then thought about going to the Joker. That put Kraus on his outside, and what we'll do is we'll slow it down to 1/4 of the speed. Side by side, into the penultimate corner, Wetz tried to pinch him, Kraus tried to run him wide, and there's really no explanation aside from the penalty box visit, as it turned the 23 around, backed it into the fence at the very end of the wall. And Kraus did a good job to avoid the 23, but realistically, there would have been a lot more damage done had Wetz backed it into the tires there. So Erdman gets first gate choice, followed by the 3 of Hagenstein, then the 2 of Mertz, then Livengood, then the LCQ drivers of Dylan Smith and Chris Wetz. So this is going to be 8 laps. Joker twice. We've got 3 champions on the front row of the grid, and this is going to begin the brawl all over again. Thank you for joining us on the Automotive Sports Network for round number 1 of the 2017A NASA RallyCross Challenge season presented by AMSOIL. Glad you could join us, and hope you will enjoy coverage all season long of this series. As final preparations are getting into play, launch controls are being set, and the grid is being aligned. Mertz, Erdman, Livengood, Hagenstein, Smith, and Wetz. For 8 laps, we're green in Valkenswaard. Off the line, it's going to be Livengood and Cody Erdman driving to turn number 1. Teammates behind Erdman. Off the tire barrier is Mertz into Hagenstein. Erdman into Livengood, and that's a red flag. So a chain reaction, red flag here in the Netherlands. Mertz into the tires, into Hagenstein. Erdman drove through Livengood. So we regrid. Hearing from race control, that is going to be pinned on car number 1. So Erdman will line up on the 2nd row of the grid. So we are waiting, as Erdman will be on the 2nd row of the grid. It looks like Hagenstein will lead the grid choice then. And I believe everyone is still going to grid in their same spots. So what we're going to do is put Erdman, in between Wetz and Dylan Smith. So the regrid is going to put us with 2 champions on the front row. Forgot to mention earlier, this is a Revolution Racing versus MRT final. It's going to be entertaining. 8 laps, Joker twice. Here in the Netherlands, getting ready to go. We're green in Valkenswaard. Off the line, no competition for Livengood this time. We're 4 wide with Wetz, Hagenstein, Erdman, and Mertz. Into turn number 1, the 3 Subarus sandwiched between the Mitsubishis. Exiting turn 2, contact between Wetz and Smith puts Wetz to 6th. Into the lead on the 2nd corner, it's going to be Mertz, followed by Livengood. They are battling into the dirt for the first time. Car number 2, 21-1, top 3. Who Jokers on the first lap? Mertz does. Hagenstein does. Nobody else. One of two is done. Nearly contact between Dylan Smith and Erdman at the left side of the shot there, but this is going to put car number 2, who is not very good at this track, sliding out of the final corner and leading at the end of the first lap. Followed by Livengood. Close behind. Car length and a half between the two champions, and I know I've said those words verbatim before. Third place will be Erdman, then Smith, Hagenstein, and Wetz. Under the bridge into turn 2, Mertz leads, has stretched the gap by, I'd say, a car length and a half or so, up to 3, into the dirt, back down to 1.5. Jokering on the second lap is going to be Livengood. Erdman nearly slams into the back of the Mitsubishi, but he holds second. Jokering, and it looks like contact. We missed it. We'll have to take a look. It was between Dylan Smith and Hagenstein. At the end of lap 2, Mertz still leads. So reminiscent of 2012A, the first ever race here when the drivers came together. They were not teammates at the time, but they did make contact. Livengood trying to put the pressure on Mertz. 41.208 to Livengood, who ran a 41.5. They are the fastest two drivers on the circuit. So we're coming across flags here at the end of lap number 3. Cross flags will be next lap. My mistake. So Mertz will lead us coming to lap number 4. It's going to be Livengood still in second. Third will be Erdman. So this is the podium so far. 40.798 for Mertz in car number 2. In the back of the field, we've got Hagenstein and Dylan Smith. Mertz still leads on lap number 4, sliding his car number 2, and he's sideways! And he's going to lose the lead. So another issue of the cold tires, the air working strangely, puts the 2 to second. He's going to joker now. Livengood sliding in the asphalt corner. So interestingly, Mertz lost the lead and regained it. Coming to cross flags, Mertz leads, Livengood second, and now Wetz is in third. So put the American in third. Car length and a half once again between the two champions as we enter the chicane. Erdman has fallen a little bit back there. You may not see him in the back of the shot. He is in fourth. I'm not sure if he spun as well. Mertz struggling in the Subaru under acceleration as Livengood trying to win his first race in a couple of calendar years here. Last victory was in March of 2015 at Las Vegas. Coming to 3 laps to go. We've seen this picture before. It's MRT, essentially Mertz, versus Revolution Racing. Mertz sliding it out of the final corner. 3 to go for the German. Side by side are Revolution Racing almost through the chicane, but Livengood cuts the nose off the 23. 21 and 23 in second and third. Side by side once again. Looks like Livengood underbroke himself trying to take the fight to the 2. That's going to allow Wetz to take the fight to him. Coming to 2 to go. Mertz slams it off the wall. Livengood tries the inside, but he hits the wall, and he hits his teammate! So contact between them both, and Wetz trying to throw the car in reverse. He still holds third. Hagenstein fourth. Erdman has fallen back to fifth, and Dylan Smith has parked the car. 2 laps to go for car number 2. Livengood struggling in the 21. I believe tire wear is also a factor here today, so not really sure as to what's happening here in Valkenswaard. A very strange race. Strange is an understatement. It's very peculiar here, especially because car number 2, Josh Mertz, is leading at Valkenswaard. This is not one of his best tracks. But anyway, we're going to come to the white flag, and he's got a healthy margin over his friend and rival, Dylan Livengood, in car number 21. That's going to put Wetz in third, still battling with Hagenstein, so let's see if the Dutchman can get on the podium in his home race. White flag for car number 2. Many people think it's discouraging to be car number 2 in NASA Rallycross. We've seen Wetz, we've seen Erdman, we've seen Hagenstein, but we never saw Mertz as car number 2. And interestingly, I think he's more empowered than ever to get this car number 2 off of his car as soon as he possibly can. Livengood second. Hagenstein has moved to third as it looks like Wetz has looped it again, so the Dutchman will potentially get on the podium in his home race. But the focus is on this man, who got defeated last season, but he will start the season off in style. Four-time champion Mertz will finally win in Valkenswaard, as he immediately goes to the donuts. Livingood will come home in second. Hagenstein makes it a double podium for MRT. Watts loses out on the podium in fourth. Defending champion Erdman comes home defeated in fifth. But look at this guy. Finally victorious in Valkenswaard. So that will give him the red plate going into next week in Munich, Germany. Interestingly, though, that's not one of Mertz's best tracks. Final results. Here today in Valkenswaard, it's Josh Mertz, Dylan Livingood, and Tristan Hagenstein rounding out your podium. Chris Wetz, Cody Erdman, and Dylan Smith rounding out the final. And bringing it home in the LCQ, it's going to be Phil Kraus, Casey Lester, Zach Johnson, and Arnold Columbia. Points are in that exact order, as looks like Mertz will have 32, Livingood 30, Hagenstein 29, then Erdman and Wetz are tied at 25, Dylan Smith 21, Kraus 19, Lester 17, Johnson 15, and Columbia will have 13. I hope you enjoyed today's coverage of NASA Rallycross here on the Automotive Sports Network. Next week, we will be in Munich, Germany, so hope to tune in then. But until then, so long, everyone.